My name is Susan Nardelli Lytle, and I'm here at Bill Iverson's 90th birthday in Newark, New Jersey. Proverbs 15:2 says, "The tongue of the wise makes knowledge good." Bill, not only have you made knowledge good, but knowing you has helped me to know the Lord. Your son Dan and I both went to West Orange High School. He was a few years ahead of me, and when I heard that he had become a flaming Jesus freak, I made sure to keep my distance. In October 1974, while in Baltimore attending my first year of college, I was pursued by a fellow student who was determined to share the gospel with me. And I was determined to keep him away from me, until not long after I also did the unthinkable, taking the leap of faith to surrender my life to Jesus Christ. To say everything changed is an understatement. Soon after, I met my future husband, Jim, a senior and also a new believer. Engaged to Jim, I quit college that May and moved back to New Jersey, where both our families lived just a few miles apart. I got in touch with Dan to tell him he had a new freak sister. He was preparing to return to Japan and connected Jim and I to his dad, Bill. Jim, being the oldest son of 7 siblings, lost his dad to cancer a couple years before I met him. My family was undergoing a very painful divorce, where I found myself as a target of both parents' bitter anger. Bill, as you took us under your wing, not only were you the best shepherd and mentor, but it was obvious that you were providentially placed in our lives to be the father we didn't have and desperately needed. When things became unbearable for me, I moved in to rent one of the rooms at Bill and Ann's big, old, wonderful home in South Orange. Mine is what they called the Pink Panther room, and pink it was. It was also so cold in the winter that I could see my breath vapor. But there I found the warmth via the grace bestowed on me. You endured my attempts at my family's Italian cuisine, and I learned what a real Virginia ham tasted like. We were a motley crew who attended Agape Fellowship Church, a very diverse group of misfits who had the privilege of being taught by Bill Iverson. Taught in word, but so much more by actions, many times joining you on a street mission or when you would set up for us to hear a special speaker. But the times that were most special to me were times like when you had me tag along with you to do hospital visitation, or when, as only 19 years old, I joined Ann to pray for you as you wept before walking in to perform the funeral service for a troubled teen who had committed suicide. What you exampled for me as the compassion of Christ was priceless and has stuck with me forever. Having you, our spiritual father, marry Jim and I in June 1976 was a joy and a blessing. And who else could have broken the ice with the proper joke after our best man fainted in the middle of our ceremony? Since we live in Georgia, we don't get as much time together as we would like, but we've so enjoyed the visits with you over the years, as you not only continue to impact our lives, but the lives of our adult children. In closing, I cannot express what an honor it is to be your Italian daughter and for you to be my Bill dad. During our most recent visit this past December, you told Jim and I that we are your oldest, youngest friends. And now I will say that you, Bill, are our youngest, oldest friend. Psalm 92:13-14 says, "Those who are planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bear fruit in old age. They shall be fresh and flourishing." If you aren't an example of that, I don't know who is.
Thank you so much. Do you have a funny story?
Yeah.
A funny story or some fun?
Is that still rolling?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
That's great. No, just be yourself. It's fun.
Oh gosh. I don't know why this is coming to mind, but one of the times I remember going down to Newark on one of his, famous little missions and taking us down there and doing mission work on the streets was we stopped at a Burger King, and it was a very kind of creepy area of town, very sketchy, and we were like the only white little group in there, and I went to take a bite out of a hamburger and I tasted mint. I'm like, what is mint doing in here? And I realized it was the guy's gum. He put the gum into my hamburger, and we looked over, and he was just like laughing, just waiting for me to, react to it. I thought, all right, Bill, I don't know. Is this like, sacrifice for Christ? Now I have to deal with this. But anyway, for some reason that just popped in my mind. It's just one of those little kind of funny things that happened along the way of just making a little memory with Bill. And no, I've never gone to another fast food hamburger restaurant since. So anyway, it was pretty gross. I don't know why that one popped in my mind.
That's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. What would you say is the lasting impact that he's made on your life?
Oh, gosh. I guess it's what I said about just his compassion, just his sincere compassion for anybody. And, I have always been a person who wants the truth, wants it sincere. And, he walked that out. I'm just so thankful that early on, when I realized who Jesus was, that I had an example like him, that God brought somebody in my life like him who was the real deal and who not only talked of these things, but literally, and just living there with them and seeing that, on a daily basis, and having him just be so, just his great sense of humor, and then being such a dad, and just being there for me in such amazing ways. And I had no idea how brilliant of a man he was. I saw his library with all his books and all of that, but had no clue until many years later of, all of who he was. And that, again, is just like him, And so, anyway, he's just incredibly special.